All right. So you sent over this paper from Environmental Research Letters.
Okay.
And the title, wow, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Combining climate models and observations to predict the time remaining until regional warming thresholds are reached.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like we've got a crystal ball now.
Uh-huh. Right.
That shows us when different parts of the world will hit those, like, critical warming levels.
Yeah.
But it's not magic.
No.
It's like cutting-edge science.
It really is. It's fascinating.
So this paper's all about?
Yeah, so it's about a new method for refining those predictions.
Okay.
And kind of what it tells us about how fast regional warming is happening.
And there's this whole thing with transfer learning.
Right.
Can you explain what that is and how it fits in?
Sure. Transfer learning is basically using real-world observations to fine-tune the predictions that come from climate models.
So it's like
giving the models a reality check against what's actually happening.
Okay, I've got a question before we go too deep.
Yeah.
Why is predicting regional warming so difficult?
Yeah, it's actually really complex.
Yeah.
So we know that climate change doesn't affect every part of the world the same.
Right.
And predicting how that regional warming will play out involves a lot of things.
Okay.
Like you've got natural climate variability, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have all these regional processes.
Okay.
And they're so hard to model.
Right.
And then there's the uncertainty in how global warming itself will actually play out.
Okay, so understanding regional warming,
Yeah.
it's crucial.
Yeah.
But it's been really hard to do accurately.
It has been. Yeah.
Is that why this new research is so important?
That's exactly it. And this is where they use this really cool approach.
Okay.
They use something called a convolutional neural network.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Or a CNN. But I don't really get them.
Yeah, they're complicated, but think of it like a pattern recognition machine.
Okay.
Like a super-powered one.
Okay.
And in this case, they trained it on data from climate models.
And real-world observations of temperature.
Okay.
And the goal was to predict how long it takes for a region to reach those key warming thresholds.
Which are?
So 1.5 degrees Celsius,
Okay.
2 degrees Celsius, and 3 degrees Celsius above those pre-industrial levels.
So instead of looking at just like a global average, this CNN could like predict when specific regions would hit those levels.
Exactly. And that's where the transfer learning part comes in.
Okay.
So they first trained the CNN on this massive data set of climate model outputs.
Okay.
Basically teaching it the fundamentals of the climate system.
They're like, okay, here's how things work.
Yeah.
Learn this.
Yeah.
Now let's show you the real world.
Exactly. And for that, they used real-world temperature observations from the Berkeley Earth data set.
So it's like they took this model and then they kind of fine-tuned it to the reality of our planet's climate.
Yeah, like a fine-tuning knob.
Okay, so they've got this souped-up CNN.
Right.
What did it tell us about these warming timelines?
Well, the results were really interesting.
Okay.
The CNN with the transfer learning suggested that a lot of regions might reach 2 degrees and 3 degrees of warming sooner than a lot of those traditional models predict.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
So could you give me like some specific examples of the timelines it predicted?
Yeah, for the 1.5 degrees C threshold.
Okay.
The central estimate was 2040 or earlier.
Wow.
For all the regions where they could use transfer learning.
That's not that far away.
Not at all.
What about the 2 and 3 degree thresholds?
The predictions for the 2 degrees C one were really striking.
Okay.
31 out of 34 regions.
Okay.
Predicted to reach it by 2040 or earlier.
Wow. And what about 3?
For 3 degrees, 26 out of 34 regions are predicted to hit that by 2060 or earlier.
Those are pretty sobering predictions.
Yeah.
So we've got this AI telling us that regional warming might be faster than we thought.
Yeah.
And how did it get there?
Right. How did it come up with this?
Yeah. Did the researchers figure out what it was like focusing on?
They did. And this is where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
They used something called deep S-shape analysis.
Okay.
And basically what they found was the CNN wasn't just looking at temperatures within a region to make its predictions. It was identifying global temperature patterns that seemed to be really strong indicators of future regional warming.
So even though it's predicting stuff about specific places, it's actually looking at the big picture of how temps are changing globally.
Exactly. And that's a really important point.
Yeah.
Regional warming doesn't happen like in isolation.
Right.
It's all connected to these larger global shifts in the whole climate system.
Like what kind of global shifts are we talking about?
So, for example, their analysis showed that warming in the Southern Ocean And the high elevations of Central Asia were big predictors of future warming.
Interesting. So changes in those places are impacting warming patterns in other parts of the world.
That's what the CNN seems to be saying.
That's amazing.
It really shows how interconnected everything is.
Yeah.
The planet's climate.
Okay. So we've got this powerful AI telling us warming might be faster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's looking at these like complex global patterns.
Right.
So what does it all mean?
Right. What are the implications?
Yeah, what are the implications?
Well, it suggests that those risks that we associate with regional warming.
Like what kind of risk?
Like extreme weather, impacts on agriculture, stress on ecosystems, all that stuff. Yeah. It might happen sooner than we thought.
And the findings you said are really relevant for certain regions.
They are, especially for regions that have strong soil moisture temperature feedbacks.
What are those?
So in some regions, when the temps go up, the soil gets drier.
Okay.
And that actually amplifies the warming even more.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So these areas might be more sensitive.
Yeah, they might be way more sensitive
than current models are even showing us.
That's right.
So this isn't just some abstract scientific thing.
No.
This is like...
This is real-world consequences.
Real-world consequences.
Yeah, for people and ecosystems.
So what does this mean for someone listening right now?
Well, it means that it's super important to understand these changes no matter where you live. Because these predictions could have big implications for how we think about climate risks in our own communities.
In our own backyards.
And around the world.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does.
About the future of your own neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Your own region. And the need to prepare for those impacts.
Yeah, for sure.
This is all really fascinating.
It is.
But I know we have more to discuss.
Yeah, we do.
So let's move on to some of the other implications of this research.
Sounds good.
What's really cool is that this research hints at using this new method to predict other climate stuff too.
It really does. The possibilities are pretty amazing.
Beyond just temperature.
Yeah. Imagine if we could accurately predict changes in rainfall.
That would be huge.
Oh, it would be so valuable.
Especially for places that are already dealing with droughts and floods.
Exactly. For those regions, it would be a game changer.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Agriculture, water management, even disaster preparedness.
All of that could be transformed.
It makes you wonder, could this method even predict how intense extreme events will be?
It's possible.
Like heat waves or hurricanes.
Absolutely. The ability to forecast those kinds of things with more accuracy would completely change how we get ready for them.
It's like we're almost on the edge of this world.
Yeah.
Where we can see climate impacts coming and do something about them.
Before they hit.
Yeah, we're still early on.
Right.
But it's exciting to think about.
What I also like is that they made their code and data available. I know, that's fantastic.
That's openly available.
It's a great example of open science.
Yeah.
And it means other scientists, even those outside of climate modeling, can use this work.
Right.
Explore the data, even discover new ways to use this method.
It's like they're inviting the whole world to collaborate.
Yeah, it really shows how science should work.
So we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
The challenges of predicting regional warming, AI transfer learning.
Right.
The surprising predictions this CNN made.
Yeah.
And even forecasting other climate changes.
It's a lot to take in.
Before we wrap up.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway message?
Okay. So the key message, I think, is that climate change is happening right now. And it's affecting different parts of the world differently.
Right.
But the thing is, we're not just watching this happen.
Right.
We're developing new tools and techniques to understand it better, anticipate the impacts, and hopefully find ways to adapt and mitigate those impacts.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all. I actually find this research hopeful.
Okay.
It shows that even with this huge challenge, human ingenuity and collaboration are leading to ways to not just understand it, but maybe even get ahead of it.
It's like we're seeing a glimpse of the future of climate science.
Yeah.
And it's looking pretty good.
That's a great way to put it.
We've got a lot to do.
We do.
But with knowledge and these new tools, I feel like we can tackle this.
Absolutely.
This research really hits home.
It does.
It makes you think about the future of your own neighborhood.
Your own backyard.
Your own region.
Yeah, and it emphasizes the importance of acting locally.
So even if we get global agreements,
even that,
adapting to climate change is going to be different in every community.
Exactly. What works in one place might not work somewhere else.
Right, like a coastal city versus the mountains.
Exactly. It's all about understanding those regional differences.
It also makes me think about communication.
Yeah.
How do we take all this complex science, all these predictions,
Right.
and make it something that people can actually use?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
We need to find ways to connect with people and make this information accessible.
Understand.
See, not just understandable, but engaging.
We need to make it personal.
Yeah.
Relatable. And empowering.
Because knowledge is power.
The more we know,
Yeah.
the better decisions we can make.
Exactly. We'll be able to advocate for change and build stronger communities.
This research is like a perfect example.
It is.
Of how science can give us the tools we need.
Yeah.
To deal with these challenges.
It's like a light at the end of the tunnel.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And it's a path we have to walk together.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been amazing.
It has.
I hope our listener is feeling as energized and informed as I am.
Me too.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have. It's been a journey.
It really feels like we're starting to understand regional climate change so much better.
I agree. This research shows how far we've come.
What really stands out to me is that global connection.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder that climate change isn't just a local problem.
Right. It's not just my backyard, it's everyone's.
Exactly. It's a global challenge that needs everyone to work together.
And what happens in one place can really affect the whole planet.
It's true. This research shows that really clearly.
It also shows that we're not helpless.
Right. We're not just sitting ducks.
We have tools and knowledge to get ready for climate change.
And adapt.
What do you think are the next steps?
Well, we need to keep making those models better.
Even better than they are now.
Yeah, add more data. Try new AI techniques.
To get even more precise.
Exactly. And we need to make sure this information gets to the people who need it.
Like policymakers?
Policymakers, communities, everyone.
It's not enough to just know the science?
Right, we have to actually use it.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
I agree.
I think everyone listening will come away with a new understanding.
I hope so.
Of how complex regional climate change is.
And I hope they also feel some hope.
Hope?
Yeah, hope that we can face these challenges.
I think so too. We have the knowledge, we have the tools, and we have each other.
That's what matters.
This has been fantastic. Thanks for joining me.
It's been a pleasure.
And everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into regional warming predictions. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those great questions.